Gaijin Goombah here. Welcome back to Culture Shock, where we break down your favorite games and anime and discover the culture that inspired them. That's not my line. I don't care. It's January. Pick up 2018 and eat that out the door. Yes! Why aren't you excited?
They just want the Nobushi video.
Almost 2 years ago to the month, I put out a simple analytical video talking about For Honor, focusing on the Shugoki and their unique ties to traditional sumo, when I uttered one simple statement. But don't worry ladies, when I roll out my video on Nobushi and their connection to Onna-musha, you'll get your revenge. That was back in 2017. Since then, For Honor's gone through the social ringer, so to speak, and became the subject of a lot of controversy. So I backpedaled from the game. But despite all the game's faults over the months, people were still asking the same thing. Where is the Nobushi video? Over and over, you guys asked for it, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. Even as recent as my last stream on Twitch, you guys have been asking, where's the Nobushi video? You still gonna do the Nobushi video? Well, you know what guys? You win. I concede. Your persistence won out. Let's talk Nobushi.
Man, I figured it'd be all over this thing a long time ago. Because all things considered, this is one of the only times we've ever seen Japan's biggest badass groups represented in gaming. Yeah, I said it. We're not trying to play the feminism card here or anything, cause lordy, we are not qualified for that. But historically put, for all the romanticism we have about the hardcore samurai men in tales and legends, there are equal if not superior tales of women in the same role doing above and beyond many of their male counterparts. These were known as the Onna-musha, and you don't with Onna-musha.
No, you do not. Long before the samurai were even a thing, both men and women trained in the art of war, and from around 200 AD to frickin' 1868, the Onna-musha, or literally lady martial artists, were one of the most unsung yet incredibly brutal warriors Japan has ever seen. For as long as time can remember, women were the protectorates of the home in Japan. Even to modern day, women are the forefront leaders when it comes to matters of the household. But imagine being the protectorate of the house back in the 1500s or earlier, when the entire country was constantly on the brink of or was neck deep in conflict. While your husband's off fighting your daimyo's war, bandits or even other armies could be invading your territory. So while their men were at war, the women stood strong and acted as their homeland defenders. No one else could watch over the villages and outskirt towns far beyond their lord's castle city, so women stood up and did something about it.
And this is when you start to see some of the strongest parallels between Nobushi and the Onna-musha. I mean, just listen to this clip.
Villages far from the safety of our castles still need protection. But how can our armies protect the people when we samurai are so few?
This is code for all of our men are either guarding their daimyo or fighting their war, so we gotta pick up the slack. It's literally in the same vein as Rosie the Riveter, except she traded in her rivet gun for a 3-foot polearm of death.
Speaking of, there's a very specific reason why Onna-musha settled on the naginata as their choice weapon. Unlike the field samurai who typically knew which clans and warriors they would square off with in combat, the community militia women wouldn't have that luxury. So they needed a versatile weapon that could effectively fight in almost any situation. And they found that weapon in the naginata. A polearm theoretically developed during the Nara period, the naginata is a unique hybridization of the traditional spear and the very specialized katana. But despite being forged from two fairly straightforward weapons, what birthed from the unification of these two was one of the most flexible arms the country had ever forged. Due to the curvature of the blade, the length of the pole, and the addition of a tsuba, the naginata was capable of stabbing, hooking, slashing, pummeling, basically dealing with any kind of enemy that came your way.
Seriously, got some bandits pillaging your crops on horseback? Just hook or stab the idiot off their mount. Coming at you with a sword? Oh please, she's got you outranged. Trying to take stabs with that Yari? Watch her whip that pole back and forth and slash him up with that curved blade.
Now, a lot of sources claim that Onna-musha preferred this weapon because its length helped make up for the lack of strength and size compared to their male counterparts. But let's be real here. Everyone was rocking a polearm over the katana when it came to conventional military combat in Japan. The advantage weapons like Yari had over the katana were unquestionable. But nevertheless, as time marched on far into the Edo period, the symbolism of a woman in the naginata was etched into the public eye.
Oh, this association goes far, far deeper than the Edo period, my dude. In fact, so etched was this association of woman and weapon that a kendo-like Gendai Budo sport, Atarashi Naginata, or New Naginata, rose sharply in popularity after World War II, eventually forming into high-respected martial arts sports organizations like the All Japan Naginata Association in 1955.
Now, in comparison to For Honor, first of all, the Nobushi is cited in having the lightest armor, possibly making some connection to this idea that women chose the naginata to level the biological playing field. But regardless if that's the reason or not, in combat, For Honor really does show off exactly why women of Japan picked up the polearm. Most players of Nobushi will likely tell you that much of how she works in combat is not only in her range, but her bait and strike unpredictability, mixing up various quick stabs and hard slashes at seemingly random intervals and directions, making both you and the weapon incredibly flexible and unpredictable, just like the naginata of the Onna-musha.
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised there hasn't been another mainstream game to take advantage of these warrior women. For all the fuss we make about historical figures like Oda Nobunaga, Hattori Hanzo, and Tokugawa Ieyasu, some of them feel like small potatoes compared to the Onna-musha that history has chronicled.
Care to share?
Oh, I'd be delighted. Consider the following scene. It's 1184 at the Battle of Awazu during the Genpei War. You, a fierce ally to Minamoto no Yoshinaka, are staring down his cousin, Minamoto no Yoritomo, and his vast armies. You are one of 5 left on the field of battle. Your lord, your beloved, looks you in the eyes and tells you to retreat. You look back at him with blazing fire, mount your horse, charge into a cluster of 30 mounted warriors, leap off your horse, tackling the strongest looking one of the bunch to the ground, and taking his head off in a flurry of both vicious tenacity and tempered skill. As told in the Heike Monogatari, this was the story of Tomoe Gozen.
Ooh, that's a good example. Tomoe was described as especially beautiful with white skin, long hair, and charming features. She was also a remarkably strong archer, and a swordswoman worth 1,000 men, ready to confront demon or god by mount or foot. She was the first captain of Yoshinaka, and she accomplished more in her life than any of his other warriors. In her wake, the Onna-musha blossomed, and to this day she's wildly celebrated in arts both written and performed. But this was not quite the origin of the Onna-musha. It was actually almost 900 years before that Japan would see one of its first nationally acclaimed female warriors. Legends tell that in 200 AD, Empress Jingu, a highly skilled Onna-musha and consort to Emperor Chuai, personally organized and led an invasion of Korea without shedding a single drop of blood. Though most historians deny that such an invasion occurred due to lack of multinational evidence, the legacy that Empress Jingu left on Japan is undeniable. Tales told of her son's conception right before the Korean War, and on her return she gave birth to Hachiman, Japan's very own god of war, while she herself was elevated to the status of kami. Her tales of battle inspired stories, sculptures, paintings, and in 1881, Empress Jingu was to be the very first woman to be featured on Japan's banknote currency.
It seemed like the Onna-musha were gonna be unstoppable, right? Well, unfortunately these badass women were eventually relegated to a life of mediocrity as the Edo period started to solidify. As the 17th century came to pass, Neo-Confucian influence relegated many of these women to positions of housekeepers, trophy wives, and bargaining chips to the now more government-focused samurai turned politician.
But there was one last Onna-musha that made her mark on history, Nanako Takeko. A member of the Aizu clan, she recruited an Onna-musha corps known as the Joshi Tai in 1868, leading them to fight alongside their male counterparts in the Battle of Aizu during the Boshin War. While battling against the Imperial Japanese Army, Nanako was felled by a shot to the chest, but instead of being taken prisoner or having her head taken as a trophy, she instructed her sister Yuko to decapitate her and bury it herself. And without hesitation, Yuko followed her instructions, decapitating her sister and burying her head in modern-day Fukushima, where it still rests to this day. To see why these gals were so freaking badass? It just kinda makes me think back to one of the last lines of the Nobushi's intro.
They keep our wilds safe, and we don't even know who they are.
Tomoe, Nanako, and Jingu were only 3 of thousands, if not tens of thousands of women who were the unsung heroes of the towns and villages that their daimyo's armies couldn't protect. It just exacerbates the fact that even before they were quelled in the 17th century, the Onna-musha were even then unsung protectors. Now I could easily rattle on and on with cultural nods involving the Nobushi, like the unique female-only Jingase hats popularized by celebrations like the Owarakaze no Bon and Awa Odori festivals, but as with many of the topics we've covered before in our videos, we hope that you might find your own discoveries. It's never been our intent to be correct as much of the internet debates to be. What we want to do is show you guys that there is so much more to your favorite games, movies, and even anime than you or even naysayers of these mediums know. It's 2019, and we got a brand new year of culture to teach. And nothing will make us happier than having you guys join us on that journey. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like I mentioned early in this video, I stream every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. US Central Time, so if you want to see some culture and gaming live, come check us out. Otherwise, we got an entire year of backlogged edutainment, so if you're hungry for more, all you gotta do is click. Either way though, until next time, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.